In this video, we are going over 5 soccer mistakes to avoid for young players. So if you're a younger player, this is perfect for you. Things you need to watch out for, mistakes you need to stop making or just avoid completely, that's coming up next.
I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
When I'm busy doing totally legitimate things, I rely on OneFootball to give me all the news stories, fixtures, results, and more from the world of football. Download it for free today. What's up guys, my name is Dave. This is Simplysoccer, where every single week we are releasing videos to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. So if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any content from us. Also, if you do not have my free ebook Game Changer, which is going to give you 33 ways to improve your game and stand out on the pitch, what are you doing? Download for that for free by going to the link in the description down below. Anyway, let's get right into it. We're going to go in reverse order with number 5 first. Let's go. So the first thing is not making your training fun or enjoyable. Now, this is especially if you're a parent trying to coach your kid or trying to coach, just someone that's younger. You want to make sure you're adding an element of fun, especially if this is the developmental years for the kid. If it's just completely disciplined, if it's completely rigid, if it's completely about it's all about improvement, we got to get you as good as whatever it is, it doesn't become playful or fun for the kid. And that will honestly usually result in disdain or disliking the sport. You need to make the game fun. You need to make it something that is enjoyable. And honestly, football is. It's not that hard to make football enjoyable. It's not that hard to make it fun. So many of us fall in love with this sport because of how fun it is. It's really fun to do skill moves. It's really fun to score goals. It's really fun even to time that tackle perfectly. So make sure you're bringing that kind of energy to your training, whether you are a young player or whether you're an adult or coach of young players. Yes, there's time for the discipline. Yes, there's time for certain philosophies that are going to help them to improve faster and faster as a player, but ultimately at the end of the day, we play this game because it's fun, because we enjoy it, because we have a good time doing it, and you never want to remove that element from the game. So make sure you are keeping the training light and fun at certain points. Don't leave out the other stuff. It's important, but make sure there is that element in there. Number 4 is one I mention all the time, but it's not playing on a team. There's no bigger mistake you can make in your developmental years than not playing on an organized program or team. Because yes, you will improve more as an individual player while doing individual training. I would say the name of individual training kind of implies that. But there are things in team training, there are things in matches that you will only be able to learn there. You will not be able to learn those things in just your individual training. You need to know what it's like to be in certain situations in a game. You need to know what it's like to play with other players, because it's a team game. If this was something like tennis or golf where a lot of individual training would probably be the main training you're doing anyway, then great, but it's not. This is a team sport, and if your goal is to play at a good level or just play on a team and function in matches, you have to be playing on a team. Now, at first, getting on any team is going to be ideal, but you also want to be looking for a team that's going to challenge you and it's going to help you to play with good players and better players over time. So make sure you're on a team, make sure you're actively trying to get on one, you're playing as many matches, even if you only can play pickup or whatever it is at this time. Find some way to get on a team in some kind of team environment, because the things you're going to learn there, you're not going to learn anywhere else. Number 3 is not keeping it simple. And I see this so many times just in my own comments, or I see this just from, younger players who want to master all these fancy skills. They want to master all of these very complex things that also don't translate well to matches. And this is something I tell all my clients, as I tell everyone who's actually serious about the game, about actually making it to the higher levels, is yeah, you can practice those things for fun, but make sure you're also keeping it simple when you're working on your training. If you even look at the way pros train, they're not adding too much complexity, maybe outside of the tactical stuff, in their trainings. They're working on their passing and receiving at higher and higher speeds, in more and more control. They're working on their shooting, their dribbling, all of these fundamentals. They're just trying to get better and better and better at, right? Of course, there's always some complexity that's going to go into it in certain levels, in certain areas, but for the most part, working on the simple things and mastering mastering those things is what's actually going to help you get better and move up the levels. Yes, it's way more fun to practice your rainbow flick and do that over a certain player in a match, but that's not a very smart thing to do, and it's not something you'll often see many players do. People will then go be like, oh, Neymar's done it. Yeah, he's done it like 5 times in his career, 6 times in his career. Most of the time he's not doing that, and most other players are not doing that for a reason, you know. And also, by the way, Neymar's not practicing that the most in his training. He's practicing the fundamentals like most players are. Keep it simple. The better your passing is, the better your control is, the better your shooting is, the better your movement is, the better these fundamentals are, the better a player you will be. And so if you are a young player, stop worrying about how to do this fancy trick, or I'll be so much better if I can do 17 stepovers in a row and then nutmeg someone. It doesn't matter. You can add certain things like that. I mean, not like that specifically. Don't do that. But you can add certain things, those elements to your game, and I would encourage it, but make sure you're heavily working on the fundamentals and keeping it simple, because when it comes to operating at a high level, it's being able to do those things well that's going to help you to be able to hang at those higher levels. Number 2, guys, and this is another huge one, is just lack of individual training. We went over that you need to be on a team. We went over, you know, the type of training you need to be doing, but so many players think they're training consistently when they're not. They're going out and they're going to their team trainings and they think that's consistent training. Guess what, guys? It's not. If you're just going to once a week team training and you think that's going to be enough to improve you as a player, and then you're wondering why all these other players your age are getting so much better, it's because you're not playing enough. It's just that simple. You need to be doing individual training. You need to have a certain plan you are following that is designed to help you become better, with certain individual drills that are going to help you work on the fundamentals, that's progressive, and it's going to challenge you over time. And if you're not doing that, you're going to have either slow progress to no progress. You know, again, a lot of players just rely on their team training. And look, if you're not really that committed to becoming a better player, you don't see yourself, you know, you're just doing this strictly for fun, then that's okay. You know, you don't need to do that. But if your goal is to become better, if your goal is to play at higher levels, then you have to be doing individual training and certain individual training. There's no getting around it. And so many players, again, they expect to get these crazy, amazing results. They expect to be as good as this player on their team that's doing individual training, but without doing it. So make sure you have some kind of plan. And again, the plan doesn't have to be perfect now. Just form the kind of plan you think is good now, and it will evolve over time. Or even better, go out and buy one, you know, from someone who can create one for you, or just get a proven system, a training program. Maybe your coach can help you with that, whatever it is. But you need to have some kind of individual training plan, and you need to be sticking to it if you really want to grow as a player. And again, a big mistake for a lot of young players who say they want to, you know, grow in this area, they're not actually putting in the individual training. And that's a huge mistake if that's your goal, to become better. And number 5, guys, is not having goals or a vision of the type of player you want to be. You are really never too young to start having goals or kind of set points of where you want to go. And not having goals, not having a vision is going to mean you're just going to be operating in a very random way with no, you know, no end in sight, no kind of, you know, gauge of how you're improving, and it's just not going to be helpful. You know, you should have goals like getting on certain teams, like having certain seasonal goals, certain yearly goals, whatever it is, because that's going to allow you to start creating the steps to get to that goal, you know, whatever the goal is. And again, these goals need to be smart goals. You know, a lot of people will have very general goals where it's like, well, what does that look like? How do you get there? And like, I don't know, I just want this. Have very defined goals, a vision. And again, for younger players, maybe parents can help them with that, coaches can help them with that, creating goals based on what they want. But that is going to help you more than anything else. Because when it comes to accomplishing things, you need to know 2 things. You need to know where you're at and where you want to go. But if you don't know one of those, it falls apart. So you might know where you're at. I'm a beginner. Great. But if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to really get anywhere, right? So you need to know where you're at, where you want to go, and you need to have the will to bridge that gap. And that really, in a nutshell, is how you achieve your goals. There's more nuance to it, but that is the basis of it, is knowing where you are and where you want to go. So you need to make sure you're setting these goals. And again, if you're not someone who's playing to go to the higher levels, you don't envision yourself playing at a certain level, and you're just playing for fun, you don't necessarily need to have goals. You know, you just go out there and have as much fun as you possibly can. But if your goal is to become better, if you actually want to become better, you need to have some kind of vision, some goal you're aiming for, because it's just going to give you more direction. It's going to show you which path to go down. It's going to help your decision making, and that's going to be crucial in your development. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you got something out of this and you're going to apply the advice I gave you. Question of the day is, out of everything I went over, which one do you need to start implementing and taking action on the most? Let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for tuning into the video, guys. As always, I'll have 2 other videos come up on screen. Again, if you haven't gotten my free ebook Game Changer, get that down below. It's absolutely free. It's jam-packed with incredible information that you won't usually find in a free product. By the way, it was initially supposed to be a paid product, but I made it free, so don't miss out on the opportunity to get that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.